Hello, everyone. Welcome on back. It's Tuesday. It's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. It's the number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show with me, Nigel Seeley, and our senior ATP Tour handicapper, Sean Calvert. Before we go on to tomorrow's quarterfinals of the Australian Open, thank you very much for everyone who has watched our shows in this tournament. Huge amount of new subscribers, huge amount of views, lots of tickets being cashed. So thank you very much for joining us. Sean, you must be encouraged by these people who are coming on to the show, getting involved, people sort of making their comments, giving their bets. But other than
What
that,
are the comments? That's what concerns me.
no, they're all good at the moment. We had a real good show yesterday, and the last time we went on, you cashed 2 winning tickets, so everyone's all good.
They are. I mean,
good in the world.
I think people are just tuning in to enjoy the general misery of my day-to-day existence. To be honest, I think that's basically what it is. Nothing to do with anything else.
Absolutely, and let's I can join you with the miserable sort of theme today. I mean, my car broke. My car didn't start yesterday, so I had to take Paula, my wife, to get her car to get an MOT.
This is all that happened to me in December. Remember, exactly the same.
So the car wouldn't start, but I thought it was the battery in the key fob, but it's not. The car's outside, so it's stuck outside. It hasn't stopped raining. The wind is absolutely diabolical. It's freezing cold, so I'm absolutely. And then the thing that's really, really angered me is the scheduling today in this tennis. I mean, honestly, Sean, tennis people, the people who run tennis tournaments, they don't have any idea of like what it means to these players. I
think they do. I just don't think they care. They just don't care. That's the bottom line.
It's absolute. What's an advantage for Djokovic here? I mean, we're recording this now, 2:15, so it's 2:15 in the morning. It looks like Sinner's going to win this quarterfinal.
So it's going to be like 1:30 in the morning finish. It could have been later because Rublev should have won that second section. He was 5-1 up in the second set tiebreak, lost 6 points in a row. Had he won that tiebreak, it would have been even later. But you're right. This is going to be, it's on my screen there. It's going to be 1:30 finish. Djokovic is, he's done now. He's had his warm downs and his interviews and everything else. If he's still up, he might be watching this, but I doubt it. He's probably tucked up in bed. But it's just about money, isn't it? People go on about me moaning and that, but it's been like this it's not just tennis, is it? It's football. It's everything. It's how can we make more money out of this tournament? The Australian Open, they're not bothered really about or tournaments in general. Let's not just single this one out, but tournaments generally they're not that fussed about the players as long as they can make the right amount of money out of the tournament. That's how it is.
Well, I think the scheduling today was really thrown off with that Corey Goff match this morning. It went long. It was 7-6, 6-7.
It can happen though, can't it? I mean,
well, that was the thing that caused the problem. But then the women were offered the opportunity to go and play on the second court, and they said no. But then when they spent the first set of that Sabalenka,
you shouldn't have given them the opportunity. It's your tournament. You can say to them, "Look, we are moving you. Not. Oh, would you mind? Would you mind awfully moving to that court, please? If you give them that option, of course they're going to say no. It doesn't matter to them, does it? Because they've got to play at that time anyway, whether it's that court, another court, or whatever. So of course they're going to say, "Oh, we'll play it on the big court in front of all the big fans. Thanks very much." What they should have done is just told them you're moving, and told them ages before. As soon as the golf match finished, and you realise there was going to be a backlog, move, just shuffle it around a bit. But they don't want to do that because people have paid for certain seats in certain stadiums to see a certain amount of matches, and then they'll get complaints, and they'll probably have to do refunds, and they don't want to do that. So that's what it.
But then they could open up the second court and have 7,000 people who have gone there with a ground pass, who would actually go there and make the court a better atmosphere.
They'd be happy, but the people that paid for Rod Laver would be sour, wouldn't they? Because they wouldn't be getting on.
To be fair, if you watch that Sabalenka Krejcikova match, it was over in about an hour and 15 minutes. Most of the people were having lunch for the first set. There was their dinner. There was nobody there. I mean, literally, when the two players come on court, there was nobody there. And now we've got this stupid scenario where these two players are playing up till 1:30 in the morning. And
Medvedev was on till 4, wasn't he? 3:30, 4.
Yeah, but he's not playing in a semi-final. I can get that in round 1 or round 2. I can understand that sort of kind of thing. It's not ideal, but I can get it. But when there's only 4 matches for the day, why can't you have women on one court? Well, women on one court, men on the other court. If you're a WTA fan, I love you women's tennis. Go and watch that. If you women's day on one day, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
It just boils down to cash, isn't it? It's how much tickets they can sell for the big price, and then also the TV revenue as well. I imagine they have to be in hock, so to speak, to the TV companies. You told us it's going to be on then, and then you can't move it. And I imagine there's some of that going on as well. But ultimately, that's down to money as well. So the whole thing is just down to cash, isn't it?
And my frustration is down to Casper because I'm on the Alex Sinner to win.
It could have been worse. Imagine if he'd
thing.
have lost that second set. And he's pulling and prodding away at his stomach again, isn't he? What's going on with him? I mean, whether he had a dodgy curry last night or something, I'm not sure. But or it's muscular. Who knows with Sinner? There's always something, isn't it?
Yeah,
but
and
he might be all right. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's the end of the world to finish it off one. I mean, it's not ideal, obviously, but I don't think it's not like 3-4 in the morning, is it? It's bad, but I don't think it's horrendously bad.
I think the reason why I scheduled it, what my beef was, I was going to talk to you about this, and at the time it looked like it was going to go 1-0 when I really was getting quite
that would have been
upset
bad
about it. Now he's sort of won this third set pretty easy, serving for the match now. I have a little bit of I feel a little bit more confident. Well, not confident, but I think it's a huge advantage. If you're cynical and you look at the way that Djokovic gets scheduled in these majors, it's not doesn't look fair to me. There you go.
They want the top players on at the peak times, don't they? If you're you could say you've earned the right to be world number one, you've earned the right to play pretty much whenever you like. You could say that. So it's how you see it, really. But ultimately, it boils down to cash.
There was when they was talking about the scheduling, and there was a big debate going on the television this morning. We had John McEnroe, Mats Wilander, and Tim Henman talking about it, and they were more or less saying the same as us. You shouldn't be asking the ladies; you should be telling them, "But you go onto that court because we need."
It's not their tournament, is it?
Exactly.
It's the tournament's tournament. Craig Tiley can come up and say, "Look, I'm sorry, but because of this, we're moving you here." And that's not to say that it's, it could have been a men's match that was moved, whatever match it was. They start with all these legends matches as well, don't they? They don't start till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Just put the legends match on a slightly different court. And then, if you want to watch that, that's absolutely fine. And why can't you start at like 10, 11 a.m.? Why does it have to start at 1 p.m.? And if you've got those matches, I know they want to sell the tickets for the biggest court and get as many tickets sold as possible. That's obvious. But just, if you're going to do that, then start earlier. Yeah. It's not that complicated.
The ramifications for the betting on that. I mean, I think more people want to watch the Legends match than Krejcikova against Sabalenka today. I think that's
depends who the legends were. Who were they?
Me and you. We're the only you're the only tennis legend for me, anyway. Just one other thing before we part that bus on that. Tim Henman said a brilliant point, and he called John McEnroe about it, and it's very, very serious. It's a great point. He says, instead of moving schedules, why don't we make the courts quicker and slow it down and speed up the balls? He said Agassi played in the quarterfinal here, and he read the scoreline. I can't remember the scoreline. He said 6-3, 6-7, 6-3, way back in the day, and it lasted 2 hours 51 minutes. And that was that, and that was the point. That was the point to take out. We need to slow these courts down.
We've been talking about this for ages.
And slow the balls down.
We've been saying this for ages. The players are saying it. The players are saying, all the slow balls, it's causing us injuries. It leads to longer points. Again, it's the same point. It comes down to money. That they want long matches. They think that the crowd wants a long match and to get value for money, because it's not cheap going to some of these tennis tournaments. They think that if people are paying like $100 or whatever for a ticket, they don't want to be out there like 7-6, 6-4, 6-love in about an hour. They think that people want to watch these really long matches and therefore get more value for their money. That again, that's what it's all about. It's the same. We're going back to the same point, which is cash.
Yeah, I've never been more bored when I've gone to. I went to my one and only Wimbledon finals. Goran Ivanisevic against Pete Sampras. It was that 5-set match. It was ace, and it went on. It was quite boring. The first.
I don't even remember that match. Which one?
Sampras beat him. Goran Ivanisevic. I must have been. I'll just work out the year.
Probably late 90s at some point.
Yeah, but maybe 1999, about 98, 99, something like that. But he won it. Anyway, enough about looking.
The fact that I don't remember it probably accentuates your point, doesn't it?
It was not a classic match. I think from that time, that's why they wanted to change the conditions, because it was such a boring final. But, for me, I am obviously talking about out of my pocket here. I want this to be a level playing field. And as the day went on, I was getting more and more frustrated because my bet and the person I faded for the tournament was getting a massive advantage. So, okay, let's move on to tomorrow. We have 2 quarterfinals, the 2 remaining quarterfinals. We've had changing conditions in the weather. It was hot this morning, wasn't it? Hot this afternoon.
Yeah.
Tomorrow it looks a little bit different, or we got more the same.
I think it's the last hot day of the tournament tomorrow, around about 29 C, so slightly, just a squeak cooler than it was today. And then it drops down to 25 on Thursday, 22 on Friday and Saturday, and 24 on Sunday. So the last 4 days of this tournament are going to be played in a fairly pleasant sort of heat. An average heat, not too hot by any means. So, but tomorrow, Wednesday, that's going to be similar to today.
And the first match we are going to discuss is the Mets quarterfinal. It is between our pick, Daniil Medvedev, up against Hubert Hurkacz. This is quite a difficult cheer because we've got our man Hurkacz, who's given us 100% cash-in ticket ratio this year, made us more money last year than any other player, and he's up against our pick to win the tournament in Medvedev.
Not ideal, is it?
Not ideal, but these two are no strangers to each other. They've played 5 times before. 3-2, Hurkacz leads the head-to-head. They have met in a UTA event as well, and Hurkacz won that recently last year. The spread here is 3.5. Medvedev is minus 129 and 3.5. Hurkacz is plus 102, receiving 3.5. The totals are very high, 40.5. Minus 114 for the over, minus 110 for the under. And on the money line, Medvedev is minus 265 and Hurkacz is plus 205. Before we talk about that game, just want to give you an update to Jannik Sinner has beaten Rublev, and Jannik Sinner will now face Novak Djokovic in that eagerly awaited semi-final. Before we park that to the side, and we'll hopefully get some outright prices to win the Australian Open at the end of the show. But let's concentrate on this match, Sean. It is scheduled for 9:30 p.m. this evening Eastern time. Hurkacz has caused problems for Medvedev before, and on their current form in this tournament, it's probably, I think the odds may be a little bit generous for Hurkacz here.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think it's a worry if you're a Daniil Medvedev backer, which I am. Hurkacz should come into this with great confidence. I didn't know that there was another exhibition match which he won as well. But looking at the main level matches that they've played in their careers so far, 3-2 to Hurkacz on the head-to-heads, and he leads the service points won and return points won totals by 103 to 97. Just going slightly further into that, it's basically the Hurkacz serve that's been the big weapon on the court. He's held serve 92% of the time in matches against Medvedev, which is very big considering Medvedev's one of the best returners in the game. And Medvedev's been limited to only 29% of return points won against Hurkacz. So he hasn't. I know a couple of the matches have been on grass, but it's not. You're looking at them stats. It's not filling me with confidence about Medvedev, and it's making me think that he's a bit too short in price for this match. Hurkacz hasn't done particularly well on return of serve either in this matchup, but he's still won 32% of return points. So he's been 3% better on serve, Hurkacz, than Medvedev, and also 3% better on return. So he's got a handy lead as far as the head-to-head's concerned. If we move on to the statistics of this particular Australian Open, Medvedev, he's got to improve. He's not been great at all, has he? In terms of the service points won and return points won totals, this Australian Open so far, Hurkacz on 112. Which is very good. Medvedev 107, which is pretty good, but not as good as you feel Medvedev can be. I think Medvedev can play a lot better, quite a lot better than he has so far. In terms of just looking slightly further into those Australian Open stats, Hurkacz actually won 9% more second serve points this Australian Open than Medvedev has. So it's not all been about the Hurkacz first serve, such a weapon as it is. He's also been pretty reliable on his second ball as well. Medvedev's got a pretty good record on outdoor hard against players with an average first serve speed of over 192 kilometers an hour, which Hurkacz is one of them. 26-6 win-loss on outdoor hard, Medvedev. But for whatever reason with Hurkacz, he's found him a bit of a problem, to say the least. I just think this is if I'm looking at this from just a straight betting angle with no thoughts about the outright position, I'm immediately drawn to Hurkacz in some way. I think the overline is perhaps a bit bigger. What is it, 40.5, 41, something like
40
that?
40.5, yeah. Yeah,
that's probably a bit big. I think Hurkacz on the handicap here, looking at the amount of times he's held serve and how dominant he's been on that serve. You can't imagine he's going to get broken that often. And you would think he's got at least a set in him in this matchup based on what they've done before. So I think for me, it all points to the plus 3.5 games on Hurkacz. Get a shade of plus money on that with Bet Rivers, plus 102.
Yeah, plus 102. I think he's been really disrespected in the market to win the tournament as well. I mean, he's a clear outsider here. And, I'm still not convinced by Alcaraz. I think Zverev will push him close to come on to that match again. But Hurkacz is a big price here. And I'm surprised he's plus 205 given how well he's played against Medvedev in the past. Remember, if you do place a bet on this match, Bet Rivers have an in-running offer as well. Bet Rivers are offering a live profit boost every day of the Australian Open. When you place a wager of at least $25 during a match, you'll receive a 20% profit boost. Limit one per day, every day of the tournament. See the Bet Rivers website for full details on the Australian Open Bet and Get. And also remember, you can watch live and bet live. If you you bet on the match here, you'll be able to watch the match on your tablet, your mobile phone, or your laptop streamed free of charge, obviously, if you place a wager on the Bet Rivers website. So that's the first match. I mean, I'm looking at the markets here, Sean, 58 different markets available on this quarterfinal of Bet Rivers. I mean, a staggering amount of markets. As I keep saying this, I mean, if you're new to tennis betting, you've stumbled across us for the first time here in Melbourne, thank you very much. But also, you won't find any better tennis offering from any other sportsbook in America than what Bet Rivers are offering here. I just keep getting drawn towards the overs in set one here.
That's possible as well, yeah. They've had some random set ones, though, looking at their head-to-head. Two of them have been 6-2, another one's been 6-1, and two have been tie breaks. Something you wouldn't probably expect. One of the first two sets has been a tie break pretty much every time, apart from the last one, which was the Halle final on grass a couple of years ago, which Medvedev was virtually the same price, almost identical price then as he is now, and Hurkacz won 6-1, 6-4. I know it's grass and this is hard and it's over the best of five, it's slightly different, but I definitely couldn't be backing Medvedev at that price. I think if you are a Medvedev backer in this match, I think you'll get a bigger price than that in play with Bet Rivers. I'm not happy about that price at all. It's too short for me.
No, over 10.5 maybe of interest to me, plus 148 in set one. I think it's going to be very close, but we're leaning towards Hurkacz here. We do have an outright position on Medvedev. Any advice for anybody who's got their ticket on Medvedev here? Would you suggest a small play on a hedge on Hurkacz here, or would you just let it ride?
Well, I'm going to take a bet on the handicap anyway, because regardless of the outright position. Right. No, I mean, he's got Alcaraz, hasn't he, next if he wins this? So it's not much point in hedging him now. If he beats Hurkacz handily or whatever, the chances are he's going to have to play Alcaraz. There's no point in hedging now for me.
So just the official pick is going to be Hurkacz plus 3.5 at plus 102.
Yeah.
Hurkacz, the poll plus 102. Sean Calvert did say last time he was on air that he would do some pole dancing if Hubert Hurkacz landed a big winner for him. And he's been.
There were certain caveats to that. I had to be with a bunch of Polish people, and I had to have a T-shirt, which you have not yet supplied.
I will get you a T-shirt. Don't you worry about that. I've already looked on I've already got it planned. You'll have a T-shirt.
You're never going to do this.
You will have a Herbert Hurkacz T-shirt by the time you go to Indian Wells.
Can I have it Herbert as well rather than Hubert?
Yes,
just so it's spelt wrong.
And Hurkacz would always be spelt wrong.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
Herbert earns cash. That's what it'll say, and it'll be a picture of dollar bills. And
he's earned us some cash so far, hasn't he?
Exactly. I'm gonna do that for you. Obviously, I'll get that.
Can't wait.
And the guys doing my kitchen, they were Polish, so I'll get them down and we'll do a little video with you on all that kind of stuff. So anyway, there it is. Hurkacz is the pick, plus 3.5 on the spread in the first quarterfinal. The second quarterfinal, the evening match, only 2 matches tomorrow. Obviously, there's no ladies, so there should be no problems with these ones. Oh, there is 2 ladies, isn't there? Sorry, my mistake there. They could run on a little bit later. We have Alcaraz against Zverev. Alcaraz is a heavy favourite here, minus 480. Zverev is plus 350. Zverev come through by the skin of his teeth against Norrie in the last round of Sean called. He said it was tough. It was
I said over 38.5, didn't I?
It was extremely tough, and he's had problems against Zverev before as Alcaraz. It's 4-3 to the German on the head-to-head. The spread here is 5.5, minus 118 for Alcaraz, minus 107 for Zverev, who receives the 5.5, and the total here is 37.5, with over minus 112 and under minus 113. Now, if you look at the head-to-head record, Sean, he has. It's not been all easy ways for Alcaraz in these matchups. And the last time they met I think it was in the 2023. It was this year,
wasn't it?
Yeah, and Zverev,
you were there, weren't you?
Yeah, I was there. I didn't watch that match though. I watched Alcaraz play Rublev, but Zverev beat him, and his serve is dangerous. He's coming under the radar. He's had some tough matches along the way, a couple of 5-setters. Alcaraz hasn't been tested yet. I mean, I look at this and I'm drawn again into the over 37.5 here. I don't know about you.
I was actually thinking of the unders.
Really? Oh, good. Oh, okay. Well, that's great. Explain to me what I mean. You're the man who puts all the work in. You're the man who's got the reasoning. I just look at purely and simply from the odds and from the paper, from the screen. My first reaction was over, but you're going to convince me why under is the play.
I just think it's a really weird head to head. I don't think you can really take anything out of this head to head because a vast majority of the time, one or the other of them wasn't fit. Chirin Alcaraz was having all sorts of problems, wasn't he? Post US Open with injuries, he wasn't fit. He still won the first set of that match, and those conditions, really quick court, bit of altitude, indoors. You would certainly favour Zverev there, especially against a rusty Alcaraz. So that one, I'm not sure is a great indicator. The US Open, many people will remember, American viewers watching this will remember that Zverev was up until all hours, wasn't he, against Sinner the previous round. Was it four, not almost 5 hours? Let me have a look. Almost 5 hours, yeah. So he had absolutely nothing to offer Zverev in that match. So you can kind of strike that one a little bit as well. Madrid 2022, same thing. Zverev was absolutely exhausted. He had back-to-back 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. finishes. So he was on fumes by the time that he faced Alcaraz in the final. Madrid 2023, you could also argue Zverev was very early into his comeback after that horrible injury that he had at Roland Garros the year before. He barely played, certainly had hardly played, if at all, on clay. French Open 2022, this is an Alcaraz that was number 6 back then and sort of lacking a bit of experience. So the head-to-head is, I think it's not, I don't think it's worth that much because there's so many strange caveats about pretty much all the matches. So I'm not putting too much store in that, to be honest. The problem for me that Zverev has had, again, he might have the same problem here that he's had before because he's had a heck of a long time on court. He's played almost 14 hours to get here, Zverev. Alcaraz less than 9. So a good 5-hour difference, which is a lot, really, isn't it, for in conditions like this? So that would certainly worry me as far as Zverev is concerned. The other thing that would concern me is that Alcaraz looked a lot better against Kekmanovic than he did in the early rounds. He could well be peaking at the right time here, Alcaraz. His stats so far, I know he had a bit of a gimme against Shang, who wasn't fit, but his service points won and return points won total so far in this tournament is 119. And he's won 70% of his second serve points. It just felt like he was finding his old form against Kekmanovic. You could perhaps argue that Kekmanovic was a little leggy after some of the 5-set matches that he'd had. He probably would have wanted to be fresher, but for me, that was the best Alcaraz has played, arguably since Wimbledon last year. So again, this could be about timing. It could just be the right time for Alcaraz and not the right time again for Zverev. I don't think he's been that great, Zverev, this tournament. He's got the same stats in terms of service points won and return points won totals as Medvedev, which is 107. Again, it's good, but it's not title winning sort of form. He's got to improve as well, as Medvedev. And he's only won 50% of his second serve points this tournament. So again, he's been relying on that serve. This is a night match, which I think it is. On Rod Laver, not the players are saying that it's slow. It just feels like an Alcaraz advantageous situation for Alcaraz for me. So my lean is unfortunately the opposite of what you were thinking, which is
well, no, I'm convinced. I didn't do the work that you did. I just looked at the price and thought 37.5 given Zverev. You've made a perfectly good case, the reason why we should go unders, and I'm with you. That's
the other one that you could do if you wanted a bigger price. Alcaraz 3-1 is a plus 230 chance. I'm not sure I see Zverev building more than a set really, unless he serves unbelievable, which is not going to be easy to do in the slow conditions at night on Rod Laver.
So under 37.5, maybe a small bet on Alcaraz to win 3-1, but the Spaniard, the Wimbledon champion, shouldn't have any problems against Zverev, according to Sean. It just shows you to listen to the show. I just looked at the price.
I could be wrong, of course.
Yeah, but I didn't do the research. I just looked at 37.5. I thought, that's probably worth a small bet, But they're the reasons why you're on. That's why you do all the work, and you're the senior ATP Tour handicapper and make everyone all this money. Before we go, Sean, we do have some outright prices with Bet Rivers now to win the Australian Open after Yannick Sinner has just won. So these are currently hot off the press. These are the latest prices. Novak Djokovic is minus 110 to win his 11th. We've lost
that about 1.9-ish.
Yeah, 1.9 to win the win, I think it's 11th Australian Open crown.
Yeah, 11th, I think. Yeah.
Carlos Alcaraz is plus 275. Yannick Sinner is $4. Medvedev is 10. Zverev is 35, and Hurkacz is 60. So there's 6 men remaining. They are the odds. Nothing's really changed really on Djokovic, has it? Nothing at all. It's been pretty much
Top guys are still in, aren't they? It's the same. You know, we've seen this story before, haven't we? It's always the top 4, 5, 6 guys, you know, in men's tennis that do tend to come through these majors. That's why it makes it so hard to find any value. Because when was the last time there was a shock winner of a men's Grand Slam? I mean, we have to go back a long way to find that, wouldn't we?
Would Wawrinka be a
Wawrinka? That was 2014. You know, it's like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, you do get the occasional finalist. You do get
many.
You get the occasional big prize finalist, but not that many. At the minute, just looking at the draw sheet, Alcaraz Djokovic is the most likely. The problem I've got personally is that Medvedev isn't playing that well, and I think if he needs to play well, doesn't he, to beat Alcaraz? I mean, he played unbelievable to beat him at the US Open. He's got to do something like that again, assuming he gets past Hurkacz. He's going to have to play that level again, I think, to beat Alcaraz, and then he'll probably have to play Djokovic. And Djokovic now, he's sitting there, isn't he? He's fresh out of he's asleep by now, probably. Looking at Sinner, who's bending over and problems with his stomach, and now he's thinking, well, I'm pretty happy here. So if you back Novak Djokovic, you're probably feeling pretty comfortable, I should think.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at those outright prices, Djokovic was even money at the start. He's now minus 110, so he has hardly moved. I think Carlos Alcaraz is about plus 375. He's 275, so he's only gone down a point. Sinner was 5. He's now 4. Medvedev was 8. He's now 10. Zverev was 35. He's 35, and Hurkacz was 70. He's now 60. So nothing's really changed on the 6 players, in it?
Because nothing happens in men's majors of any real note, does it? A lot of the time, you do get some interesting results in round 1 and stuff, right? But it's very rarely is it the top seeds. You know, the number 1, 2, 3, 4. These guys are very, very consistent, aren't they? And very impressive in what they do in majors.
So there you have it. They are the 2 quarterfinals this evening. Remember, there's some women's games as well. I forgot them earlier. I said they were playing. They are playing, and there'll be some WTA betting angles, which will be going on to our socials. And you have to follow them at Because We Win on Twitter and Instagram. We're in good form on the socials on the women's stuff. I think like 9 bets I've given on the women's this year, and 7 have won and 2 have lost on the betting angle. So make sure you head across there. Also subscribe to the Betting Weekly Studios on YouTube, our YouTube channel. Amazing amount of subscribers, as I said at the top of the show. Thank you very much if you have subscribed. Thank you very much. Please give us a comment, give us a like. We want to hear your comments. We want to like you to get involved in this show. This is your show. Any questions you have, any bets you want to share with us, please do so. And also download the podcast on your preferred podcast provider, which is Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. We're riding high in the charts there as well. So it's been an amazing week, or amazing couple of weeks. It's amazing start of the year, really. Incredibly high views. Thank you everyone who's joining into it. You know, like I say, the more you hear from yourself, more bets you have, and any questions or suggestions, please let us know. So just one bet from you, Sean. Tomorrow, Hurkacz plus 3.5 against Medvedev at plus 102. A bit of an emotional hedge against our outright position, but we can cash both, can't we?
We can. If all things go well, we can cash both. It's you kind of have to forget about what you've done on the outright. Just look at this bet as what it is, and that's where the value is. Unfortunately, I'd rather it wasn't, but that's where it is.
And that is where the value is, and value pays the bills, that's for sure. Myself and Sean will be back tomorrow. We're looking at the semi-finals of the men's Australian Open Championship. We know one of them, Sinner against Djokovic, who will be in the other one. We're back tomorrow to discuss that, and then we'll be previewing the final later on in the week. Sean, thanks very much for your time. Have a good day, my friend.
Pleasure.
Wrap up warm, put an umbrella when you go and pick the boy up from school, because it's absolutely horrible out there. Take care, everyone. And again, thanks very much for watching. Thanks for comments, and we'll speak to you all again tomorrow. Take care.